impeccably better since I dropped that manifesto. It's like if you put manifestation into the world, then it will come back to you, you know what I mean? Like if you've got a world vision that you want to express, like this beggar, this naughty little beggar, he knows what the time is, don't you, mate? Freaking hell. Freaking Nelly. Fucking no. You little ragamuffin. Apparently you're not allowed to say ragamuffin anymore. Apparently you're not allowed to say apparently anymore. Um, um, apparently you're not allowed to say not, or apparently not. You're not allowed to say. um, because there is only one truth. There is only one. It is black, and that is it. There is no grey. There is no white. There is ing and ting. K80, up ya, motherfucker. How is it? You good, man? Thanks for dropping through, brother. Anyway, like as I say, I was watching shorts in the bathtub, feeling amazing about myself and whatnot, and then I'm pretty sure I heard a a short that used a sample from this song, and it just made me go, I don't know, man. Friggity gibbets. Some ain't fucking alright. There we go. You never know when the postman cometh. You gonna cry or your motherfucking runneth. I don't know. See, I'm keeping fucking language alive here. You know, they want to censor us, take away our right to swear, our right to be angry. If we're angry, then we're just thought criminals, like, oh no, that's a shame. Just before midnight. Before midnight, motherfuckers.
I press my face against the glass, smiled as my breath made some pattern or other, world beneath unfurled before.
Oh, that's alright. You'll get there. You'll get there, homie. Don't worry about it.
Glinted in gold from this rich dawn sky, awaiting the ship they had told me would come, quietly anticipating that which was to come. I couldn't yet see you, still obscured by the city, the towers of glass reflected your
Good stuff, K80. Thanks for your support, son. We appreciate it.
silhouetted on the sunrise. Did I blink as I watched? Did I close my eyes? I was not alone. Think it was the first time watching your rise, splendid and graceful. I cheered as you sailed I laughed as I waved. Imagine you saw me in streets of the city, windows of buildings, a million faces gazing upwards in wonder. A million faces together and cheering and smiling. You were the warmth of their hearts. You were the sun of their dreams. In the coldness of morning, you brought warmth to their lives, giving this feeling of wonder I could not imagine. You unlocking these thoughts, no book and no picture could ever convey this feeling for me and opened the door. I stepped into a new world. I watched you fly, saw you as a friend. The spirit of dreams, imagined a new world. Lands far away. Imagine those faces as you hung in their sky. I'm leaving ground, stepping into a new world. I'm leaving ground, a new world, watching you. I stepped into new world. I was not alone. I think it was the first time.
Nice one, man. Yeah, we're just gonna have a good time today, you know. Don't worry too much about the world, eh? Fucking just living it. This is the fucking world now, we. Let's fucking nails. Let's fucking nails.
Stepping into a new world. I'm leaving ground. Stepping into a new world. Now I'm leaving home. Leaving everything. Leaving everything. I step into this new world. Leaving everything.
Okay, we're gonna have a look at that some analysis of that Elon Musk, Donald Trump Twitter interview and see what's good. But okay, before that, I don't think I've seen this Hells yeah, man, around the motherfucking world. Yeah, okay. See, this was the future. In 1995, we glimpsed the future and we just, we passed it up, you know. We fucking sold in, you know. But it's all good, man. at some point you go, look, they're not manipulating the truth. They're actively going against the truth. You know, they talk about narratives as if every narrative is equal, or, you know, every you know, some narratives are more you know, valid than others, aka the truth, the things that actually happen, are less valid than the fucking official narrative. You know, like, how can you conscionably lead a world like that? You know, how are you meant to make people fucking trust you anymore when they know that you lie, when they know that you actively went against reality just to try and fucking cause a global Islamist fucking communist coup? Shame on you people. You are war criminals. You are thought criminals. We're not the thought criminals. You are the thought criminals. Yeah? Shame the fuck on you. Okay, we'll drop that Elon in a bit, but I'm just rolling on in beats. I know y'all feeling me. I know y'all out there. I know you're hidden behind your VPNs. I know what it is, man. Fucking nigga, yeah.
Let's take a moment and see how far we can explore. Body to body, it just let me open your door. Bottle rockets are blowing, heads are exploring. Position myself how you like. Risky makes me controlling. I'll give you nothing, let go and live for a night. Tell me nothing, tell me nothing. Show me the right, hit me open. Tell me nothing, tell me nothing. Show me the right, hit me open. Tell me nothing, tell me nothing. Show me the right, hit me open. Tell me nothing, tell me nothing. Show me the right, hit me open. Tell me.
All right, brother. I hope you're banging this as loud as fuck, homie.
I bring emotion, just let it take over your life. Shoulder to shoulder, you both feel like losing control. firelight. Whiskey makes me control you. I'll give you nothing. Let go and live for a night. Tell me now, tell me now, show me love right. Keep me open. Tell me now, tell me now, show me love right. Keep me open. Tell me now, tell me now, show me love right. Keep me open. Tell me now, tell me now, show me love right. Keep me open. Tell me.
Come on. Oh no. I fucked it, eh? Oh fucking no. Okay, we get into it after this.
Here we go, my heart. Je kan het niet ontkennen. Die pannenkoeken moeten en deze nieuwe stil wennen. Van het noorden naar het zuiden. Van A-Town tot Hilva. Brengen wil je kaarten concurreren met je shoppa. We hangen in je buurt met de schoenen naar je lokaal paal. Dit is voor de gekken. Ze spelen jongens, ze doen normaal. Kill, we brengen herrie. We doen ze nachtmerrie. Die kerel komt wederom als de king. Vraag het Larry. En plus ik ben je troep en als de rest te veel van pak. Mijn bloed is het losjes van me van zitten strak. De gasten willen lullen, maar ik hou het zelf bij Boomie. Je doet een hoop emotie, maar je net flows doen niet. De gasten willen lachen, maar we lachen aan de bank. Dus zijn ze niet meer dankbaar, dan worden ze bedankt. Dus thanks voor de geitjes en thanks voor die shine.
Jasper's gone, homie. She's gone, mate. She joined the wars, you know. But Clarence is around here somewhere, maybe.
Stilo is te clean, door de jaren heen verwesterd, maar geboren in de lean. Daar in het diepe zuiden, waar ze leunen op mijn tracks. In een groene open mantel met een matje in hun nek. En een broodje warm vlees of een broodje bakpauw. En bij de snackbar op de hoek, daar pompen ze daily die sound. Geen album in de winkel, maar de buzz die wat groter. Denk een hype rapper, maar bewust van de mode. Een paar nieuwe Asics of Clarks in het badge. Steeds meer fans, steeds meer om te matchen. Splinter nieuwe shoes met de kaarten op de knie. Nieuwe tattoos op mijn arm, laat mijn vader niet zien. Zolang ik knaken maar verdien. Met wat ik doe en wil. Want wat ik doe met skills wordt me never niet te veel. Ze willen dat ik fout doe. Willen dat ik goud doe. Willen dat ik helemaal crazy word, maar zeg ze houden. Build your round face, build your block pound. Build your round face, build your block pound. Build your round face, build your block pound. You're stuck on my face by town. Build your round face, build your block pound. You're stuck on my face by town. Build your round face, build your block pound. Verlek de Mongo, wat kijk nou. Build your round face, face. Wat denkt hij, jongen, hè? Dat ik wel voorbij kan komen fietsen met zijn blije bak. Build your block pound, pound. Wat een langzame kutmuziek!
I know you. Yeah, I know it's a shitty movie. I know it's a shitty movie.
Ja, wie is hier nou de snackbar? Ga weg!
Oh, come on. He loves loves it. He fucking loves it. No, he wouldn't be sticking around if he didn't love it. Okay, one more. Oh, what's this? EZG and Sheen. Bicycle chain.
Ze zeggen, je komt er nooit, je bent te lijp voor tv. Je hebt een veel te grote bek en je staat stijf van de zee. Kom van de grond, ben gewond, maar ik blijf op de been. Want ik loop altijd rond met mijn bicycle chain. Ja, bicycle chain, fietsketting, ijzerprobleem. Mijn ex vond het nodig haar kutje te spijden voor vrienden van mij, daarom blijf ik alleen. Ja, blijkbaar ben ik nu een rolmodel, maar ik ben meer zo'n persoon die je leven verziet. Als je me ziet loop ik rond met een bicycle chain en ben niet eens op de fiets. Sinds mij lag je stone in een polo pack. Sinds mij hangt je neus in de ponypack. Heb je dochter en neuk, lekker boeiend. Wat moet je doen? Denk je dat ik nu je schoonzoon ben? Ik heb een bloed door je in mijn tas zitten. Mensen die op zak als een pad vinden. Ik heb ook bomschoenen, daar zit sterren op. Zonder explosieven, dat zijn klapgrillen. Je komt er nooit, je bent te lijp voor tv. Je hebt een veel te grote bek en je staat stijf van de zee. Kom van de grond, ben gewond, maar ik blijf op de been. Want ik loop altijd rond met mijn bicycle chain. Bicycle chain, 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 bicycle chain. Ik loop altijd rond met mijn bicycle chain. Ze zeggen altijd white resistent, tight in de brain, psycho insane in de mind en membrane. Beschrijf iedereen als je de mic aan hem geeft. High van cocaine, high van de weed, high van de speed, drunk van de bier en alleen maar lean. Ik spuit er doorheen. De hetero voor radio, de anti-gay voor tv. Boeien, heb je Infected Records NL, mijn YouTube kanaal. Plus ik ben nu live op FB. Dus pak ik die showtjes als je mama en ga viben op stage. Ik kankerpersoon, nog rijd ik erheen en zet de game op slot met mijn bicycle chain. Je komt er nooit, je bent te lijp voor tv. Je hebt een veel te grote bek en je staat stijf van de zee. Kom van de grond, ben gewond, maar ik blijf op de been. Want ik loop altijd rond met mijn bicycle chain. Bicycle chain, 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 bicycle chain. Want ik loop altijd rond met mijn bicycle chain.
Okay, what do we got here? IDM beats. Noise. Interesting to see what this is like. And we'll just fucking chill it out. Chill it on the willies. Okay. So this is Chrome by Mangazi. This isn't really IDM, but you know, it's better than nothing. It's well, yeah. Okay. Let's see what was what. Let's see what was what.
So, Stu, if you were reading the news today, what would your impression of the Elon Musk, Donald Trump Spaces conversation be?
Well, they had technical problems, Glenn. That was the main takeaway. Yeah. They started late, and that was the most important thing out of the conversation. Yes. They did not start on time.
Right. That's not actually what happened. Elon Musk said that Spaces came under a massive coordinated DDoS denial of service attack. With everything that is going on in the world, I tend to believe that, but there's not a single story in the mainstream media that is reporting that. They're just saying he has a failed platform. And that this is exactly what happened with Ron DeSantis, yada yada. And I believe when Ron DeSantis did it, it probably wasn't at prime time. But you don't do that twice. You know what I mean? He said he was testing the servers. They could have handled 8 million people. That's as high as they tested yesterday, but said everything was fine. And there ended up being about 1 million live, according to the reports, but I don't know what to believe anymore. And I was shocked that they didn't spend more time on that and more time on what what they were threatened with, what Elon Musk was threatened with by the European Union yesterday. I don't know if you've seen this letter to Elon Musk, but I just want to read some of it. It's quite long. It's a full page, but it's worth hearing in America. Dear Mr. Musk, I'm writing you in the context of recent events in the United Kingdom and in relation to the planned broadcast on your platform X of a live conversation between a U.S. presidential candidate and yourself, which will also be accessible to users in the EU. Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that happen on CNN that are available to European users. Why is Elon Musk being singled out? And Elon Musk invited Kamala Harris to do the same thing with her. She turned it down. I understand that you're currently doing a stress test of the platform. In this context, I'm compelled to remind you of the due diligence obligations set out in the Digital Services Act. This is just an absolute draconian act on free speech in the European Union. The left has found a way to outsource freedom of speech, the suppression of freedom of speech. Our government doesn't have to do it because the EU can now do it to us. As the individual entity ultimately controlling a platform with over 300 million users worldwide, which is 1/3 in the EU, that has been designated as a very large online platform, you have the legal obligation to ensure X's compliance with EU laws, and in particular the Digital Services Act in the EU. This notably means ensuring, on one hand, that freedom of expression and information, including media freedom and pluralism, are effectively protected, and on the other hand, that all proportionate and effective mitigation measures are put into place regarding the amplification of harmful content in connection with relevant events, including live streaming, which, if unaddressed, might increase the risk profile of X and generate detrimental effects on civil discourse and public security. This is important against the background of recent example of public unrest brought about by the amplification of content that promotes hatred, disorder, incitement to violence, or certain instances of disinformation. Now, I want to remind you that the WEF, the World Economic Forum in Davos, what was their number one problem that they had to solve? It was bigger than global warming. It was bigger than any other thing. I mean, it came out of nowhere, and it was their number one problem that they needed to focus on. You remember what it was, Stu?
No, not off the top of my head.
Dis, and malinformation. They said they had to stop this because it was going to be a problem this year. And so they had to do everything they could to stop it. And Klaus Schwab came out and said, you've got to trust the system. So you have to trust the system. Who are you speaking to? He was speaking to the leadership of the West. He was speaking to all of the prime ministers and the heads of security and everything else, saying, we've got this under control. Nobody abandon ship. You stay on board. We have this. This is a direct reflection of that. It also implies informing EU judicial and administrative authorities without undue delay on the measures taken to address the orders against content considered illegal according to national and EU law. Taking timely, diligent, non-arbitrary, and objective action upon receipt of notices by users considering certain content illegal, and informing users concerning the measures taken upon receipt of the relevant notice, publicly reporting about content moderation measures. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, this is V for Vendetta or 1984 kind of stuff. In the respect, I note that the DSA obligations apply without exceptions or discrimination to the moderation of the whole user community and content of X, including yourself as a user with over 190 million followers, which is accessible to EU users and should be fulfilled in line with the risk-based approach of the DSA, which requires greater due diligence in case of a foreseeable increase in the risk profile. So they're saying that he should not be running this interview because it's too risky. Now let me ask you something, America. When has speech become too risky? What was it that Donald Trump said yesterday that was so scary? These people are trying to shut down your access to any other point of view. You'll notice they don't say anything when Democrats say elections are stolen and the Republicans are going to steal this one. Now, Donald Trump alluded to election fraud, but he was talking about making sure that when he's in office, we'll have paper ballots. We'll be able to count and have a record of everything we do.
They hate that. They fucking
Where
hate
is
that.
the equal footing here on freedom of speech? Mike Lee tweeted, "Back to the EU, go to hell."
It is already.
That's like an F-word fun festival for Mike Lee to say that. This is absolutely unrecognizable to me in the West. It is making it is making Saudi Arabia look like a kind of open place. They finish, "Let me clarify that any negative effect of illegal content on X in the EU, which could be attributed to the ineffectiveness of the way in which X applies the relevant provisions of the DSA, may be relevant in the context of the ongoing proceedings and the overall assessment of X compliance with EU law. This is in line with what has already been done in the recent past, for example, in relation to the repercussions and amplification of terrorist content." They're now speaking about terrorist content.
Terrorists.
Or content that incites violence, hate, and racism in the EU, such as the context of the recent riots in the United Kingdom. I urge you to promptly ensure the effectiveness of your systems and report measures taken to my team. My services and I will be extremely vigilant to any evidence that points to breaches of the DSA and will not hesitate to make full use of our toolbox, including by adopting interim measures should it be warranted to protect the EU citizen from serious harm. This is absolutely incredible.
It just shows that this was never a war on terror or a war against terror. It was always a war of terror. You know, the simple fact is, you know, they frame that like these, you know, whoever's attacking us must be our mortal enemies, even though the simple fact was they were fucking shaking hands and fucking drinking beers together 5-10 years ago. You know, like it's a total double play. It's fucking disgusting. You know, it starts in the 90s with Clinton. Well, that's the next order. It's all Bilderberg. They're all gone. You know, a notable. Has anyone noticed the absence of world leaders, not fucking evil war criminals, of course? So they're gone. So at this stage, you know, America is just being run by the backroom oligarchs, many of whom are gone as well. But that's why they have no authority to do anything in America with X. They can't touch Elon because they basically have no government anymore. They're running on fumes. All their bullshit is just bullshit at this stage. They know that the heartland mobilizing. You know what I mean? Like, and they're probably planning one last big fucking thing to try and shut this down before we hit the event horizon. They don't realize we're already past the event horizon. There is no turning back. This is our future, man. This is our life. This is our livelihood. This is our souls. They don't believe in souls. They don't believe in consequence. They don't believe in forgiveness. Well, what kind of people is that? When you pit men who have testicles inside of them against fucking biological women. You know, you didn't see that fucking Arab fighting any Australian women, did he? Did ya? Fucking did ya? Instead, you roll out some fucking cracker-ass bitch who fucking read about breakdancing and fucking conflagrated some bullshit, you know, pseudo-intellectual fucking academicism about the fucking cultural impacts of breaking, and that makes her fucking... That makes her... That is, seriously, man, like, that is gaslighting, like, supreme gaslighting. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, there's been a systematic breakdown of hip-hop culture in Australia for years. It's become an indigenous thing, blah, 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 not a streets thing. You know, it's become an access of protest, you know, not fucking art and sport, you know. Like, breakdancing is a sport, not a fucking cultural construction. Motherfucker. Like, seriously, that shows how fucking out of date. We're being run by fucking cranky old fucking Joe Biden, you know. Show you some smiling face, fucking smile like a hyena to your fucking face. Like fucking hyenas. They are hyenas. And we are lions. Yeah? They will never take out our brood like they have in the UK. I mean, that is just so disgusting what they've done to the UK. You know, import gangs and gangs and gangs and gangs and gangs of rapists and fucking abusers, turning women into whores. It's fucking disgusting, man. It's fucking criminal. They've fucking stolen a whole generation. And they want to talk to us about genocide? Motherfuckers. This is fucking bullshit. You know, Western civilization, you know, overrun by fucking, you know, Islamist fucking jihadis. Jihadis. Not jihad. Not true jihad. Jihadis. Allah Akbar, motherfuckers. Fuck this shit, man. And the systematic fucking, you know, they want to talk about radicalization. You don't think fucking telling fucking young people that they need to live with hatred in their hearts. They need to live with a thirst for retribution and revenge. Revenge for the sins of our fathers that they've just conflated and created, you know what I mean? Like, they did this in 78 with Roots, you know, they base it on a fictional story, this fucking oppression narrative, on a fictional story, and then whip it up as if it's real, but it didn't work, you know. The ERA didn't pass through, thank Christ, by the hands of Phyllis Schlafly, Saint Phyllis, you know. And then they did it again in 88 with Shoah, like a 15-hour fucking documentary just about the fucking Jewish Holocaust, the Jewish, you know, that, you know, and then through with fucking Schindler's List, which again was based on a fictional story. Yeah? This myth of like evil Nazis and good Nazis, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Like, just basically dividing society, creating fucking this rarefied space for Jewish people. Not for any good that it actually do them, just to divide society. You know? And I hope this whole fucking Gaza thing is a big fucking red pill to y'all. How could it not be? You know what I mean? Unless you're fed into the narrative, you're a self-hating Jew. They've made you a self-hating Jew. You know what I mean? Like, and then killed off all your ancestors. So all the stories are gone. You know. You want to talk about genocide? You want to talk about a Holocaust?
If you don't think they're serious, and if you don't think it affects us, let me play a Washington Post reporter yesterday afternoon. Cut one.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to today. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too.
See, you never hear them talk about disinformation anymore. You know what I mean? Like, disinformation, like non-information. Trying to stop that spread, but you know what I mean? Like, they don't talk about the fact that, you know, disinformation controls this space. Disinformation is the control of information. So it fits specifically to your controlled narrative. That is a narrative. The truth, reality, that is not a narrative. You know, like it is the supreme narrative. You know? Oh, a bit of fucking old Cool Keith. Damn, you know when to drop it.
Dr. Octagon, paramedic fetus of the east with priests from the church of the operating room with the strikes of force, scalpels since the Holocaust. I do indeed and greed, explore, meet the patients, back the wounds with the nurse with the voodoo curse. Holding the office lights, standing at huge heights, back and forth, left wing, swing to north, east to south with blood pouring down your mouth. I come prepared with the white suit and stethoscope, listen to your heartbeat, delete, beat, beat, beat. Your insurance is high, but my price is cheap. Flowers.
And that's another thing. When the fuck did government start running insurance agencies, man? Like, you fucking know that shit is going fucking potatoes when the fucking government is running insurance agencies, right? That's not universal healthcare.
It's a patient is worth to keep the germs off the turf. Cybernetic microscopes and metal antidotes, telescopes that magnifies eyes of a roach. The computer's a cup of coffee planet with my hand in astral planet detached. Turn on rare foggers, cut the light on the kid, turn right on supersonic waves combined and burn his brain waves. I see the mascot of evil, he's not Knievel. Shakespeare's gone, don't even think about it. Yes. As I go into the park, I see blue flowers draining green. By the pond, blue flowers. It's totally raining green. Boy, blue flowers. I smell the bees and the birds. Blue flowers. Different aspects of life. Blue flowers.
Okay, let's keep going.
They've outsourced it to the EU. Remember, Elon Musk is an incredible inventor. He has changed the car industry. He has changed it in numerous ways. He has changed the way.
He should say, you want me to fall in line? Fucking give back your Teslas, you fucking arrogant, fucking hypocritical cunts. Fucking NVIDIA. Fucking idiots.
Maybe look at going to space. He's put a rocket up in space that returns to its platform on the water.
It was a half thing and broke down. It was 500 grams slick. Give or take.
He's one of the main guys from PayPal when that started. They loved him. They loved him until he bought the platform Twitter. Well, now you're an enemy because you won't play by our rules. Do you see how dystopian that is? You have the cut of the judge in England. Here's a judge sentencing a guy for something he posted on Facebook. Listen to this.
Went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment.
20 months in prison in the United Kingdom for posting, I don't want my money going to a bunch of immigrants who come here, rape our children, and then get off scot-free. Well, I don't either. That doesn't mean all immigrants or all illegals are doing that, but there is evidence of both of those things happening, especially in England, of illegals coming in and raping children, and the government not doing anything about it. So that is not dis, or malinformation. That's information the government doesn't want you to talk about or remember.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what this is like. So,
Cool, okay, so
this guy is fucking disgusting, right? He needs to be fucking deleted. Like, he's so fucking dangerous and just like not. I mean, I'm not even gonna platform him. All I'm gonna say is the anti-natalist movement, I hope it's fucking over. Yeah. Okay. Let's go way back with this one. Duplication of the program, yeah. The Jeff Ronson Corporation. Good old research.
My father was on the left here. My father was officer of the General Staff of the Soviet Army. He was inspector of land forces, Soviet troops stationed in countries like Mongolia, Cuba, East European countries. This is the picture taken at the entrance of my Institute of Oriental Languages. It's a part of Moscow State University. As every Soviet student, I was, quote-unquote, volunteering for harvesting grain in Kazakhstan. By the end of my training in school, I was recruited by the KGB. This picture was taken on that day, and you can see again how happy it feels to be recruited by the KGB. Pay special attention to the number of bottles at the table. One of my functions was to keep foreign guests permanently intoxicated the moment they land at Moscow airport.
Our conversation is with Mr. Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov. Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. One of his interesting assignments was to brainwash foreign diplomats when they visited Moscow. And he'll tell us a little bit about how they did this and how they planted information which eventually wound up in the press of the free world. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Mr. Presmianov, I'd like to begin by having you tell us a little bit about some of your childhood memories.
Well, the most vivid memory of my childhood was Second World War, or to be more precise, the end of the Second World War, when all of a sudden the United States, from a friendly nation, which helped us to defeat Nazism, turned overnight into a deadly enemy. And it was very shocking because all newspapers were trying to present an image of belligerent, aggressive American imperialism. Most of the things that we were taught is that the United States is aggressive power, which is just about to invade our beautiful, free socialist country. That American CIA is dropping Colorado beetles on our beautiful potato fields to eliminate our crops. And each schoolboy had a picture of Colorado bug on the back page of his notebook. And we were instructed to go into collective fields to search for those little Colorado bugs. Of course, we couldn't find.
See the line between like the communists hating America and now these fucking terrorists hating America? See the correlation? See the fucking mind trick that they played on y'all?
And then we could find many potatoes. And that was explained again by the encroachments of the decadent imperialist power. The anti-American paranoia, hysteria in the Soviet propaganda was to such a high degree that many less skeptical people or less stubborn would really believe that the United States is just about to invade our beautiful land, and some secretly hope that it will come true.
That's interesting.
Yes.
But getting back to...
And of course, remember the vigilance against the Nazis was not 100 across the board. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing was like, again, it's always made me wonder about like, you know, being a Holocaust denier, and it's like, well, why the fuck do you own the official narrative? You weren't there. I wasn't there. What's the problem in asking some thought questions? You know, and you just saw how vehemently, you know, it wasn't this wasn't an issue until the lobbyists came out and used fictional, spurious information to brainwash a whole nation into believing that Germany did this. You know, Hitler, fascist. You know, even though the fact was they were fighting fascists with communists, they used Russia as a fucking honey trap to like get the Germans. Funnily enough, it looks like the Ukrainians have fallen for the same trick. So, ha on you, motherfuckers. You don't learn from history, you're gonna fucking repeat it. You know, so basically, you know, these narratives, they talk about narratives because that is exactly what they have been enforcing upon people. Narratives, not truth, not reality. You know, how on earth are you meant to know what's happening in the world if all we have is, you know, you controlling the means. And I mean, the whole point is, under those circumstances, you know, we're obsessed with novelty, you know, and knowing things and blah, blah, blah. But now it's like complete lockdown. The Australian news media is unconscionably complicit, just like everybody fucking else. You know, I remember a time when commercial television used to actually be independent media. You know, not just fucking Bilderberg writ large. Fucking hell, man.
Life inside the Soviet Union or inside communist countries in general. In this country, at the university level primarily, we read and hear that the Soviet system is different from ours, but not that different, and that there is a convergence developing between all of the systems of the world, and that really doesn't make an awful lot of difference what system you live under, because you have corruption and dishonesty and tyranny and all that sort of thing. From your personal experience, what is the difference between life under communism and life in the United States?
Well, life is obviously very much different for the simple reason that the Soviet Union is a state capitalist economically. It's a state capitalism where an individual has absolutely no rights, no value. Life is nothing. It's just like an insect. It's disposable. Whereby in the United States, even the worst criminal is treated as a human being, as a fair trial, and some of them.
Yeah, remember that.
They
Never
publish their
happened.
memoirs in their prisons.
Never fucking happened.
And get handsomely paid by your crazy publisher. The differences, of course, in the daily life are very various, depending on who we are talking about. In my own private life, I never suffered from communism simply because I was brought up in a family of high-ranking military officers. Most of the doors were open for me. Most of my expenses were paid by the government. And I never had any troubles with the authorities or with the police. So, in other words, I would say I enjoyed, or I had good reasons to enjoy all the advantages of so-called socialist system. My main motivations to defect had nothing to do with affluence. It was mainly moral indignation, moral protest, rebellion against the inhuman methods of the Soviet system.
Well, specifically, what did you object to?
I objected, first of all, against oppression of my own dissidents and intellectuals. And that was the most disgusting thing that I witnessed as a young man, young student, who was brought up at a very troublesome period in our history, from Stalin to Khrushchev, from total tyranny and oppression to some kind of liberalization. Second, when I started working for the Soviet Embassy in India, to my horror, I discovered that we are millions times more oppressive than any colonial or imperialist power in the history of mankind. That my country brings to India not freedom, progress, and friendship between the nations, but racism, exploitation, and slavery, and of course economical inefficiency to this country. Since I fell in love with India, I developed something which by KGB standards is extremely dangerous thing. It's called split loyalty. When an agent likes a country or assignment more than his own country. I literally fell in love with this beautiful country, a country of great contrasts, but also great humility, great tolerance, and its philosophical and intellectual freedoms. My ancestors used to live in caves and eat raw meat when India was a highly civilized nation 6,000 years ago. So obviously the choice was not to the advantage of my own nation. I decided to defect and to entirely dissociate myself from that brutal regime.
Mr. Bezmenov, we've read a lot about the concentration camps and the slave labor camps under the Stalin regime. Now the general impression in America is that those things are part of the past. Are they still going on today, or what is the status?
Yes. There is no qualitative change in the Soviet concentration camp system. There are changes in the numbers of prisoners. Again, this is unreliable Soviet statistics.
That's
don't
what they
know
are
how
putting
many
our people
political
in
prisoners
now.
are there in the Soviet concentration camps, but we sure know from various sources that at
Concentration
each
camps.
particular time there are close to
Not
25
internment,
to 30
concentration.
million of Soviet citizens who are virtually kept as slaves in forced labor camp system. The size of population of country.
And never forget 1941. They want you to forget 1941 when they went to war and locked up basically Japanese Americans because they were Japs, because they were Nips, whatever. I don't know, maybe for their own fucking safety, I don't know, but still, like, taking away people's civil freedoms for their own safety. That's a classic move, isn't it? Fuck.
Like Canada is serving terms as
it's like you cannot whip up wholesale hatred of another country without bringing your citizens who are of that background. Straight out of the playbook. You know, that is Israel. That is not Jewish people. That is Israelis. You know? Disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. And the lies, just the absolute bold-faced lies that they use to whip up, using fucking terrorist propaganda. Terrorist propaganda. And these fucking terrorist nations are considered part of the UN, which makes you go, well, what does the UN stand for now? What, unified niggers? I don't fucking know.
isn't it? Incredible. So I would say that those intellectuals who try to convince American public that concentration camp system is a thing of the past are either conscientiously misleading public opinion or they are not very intellectual people. They're selectively blind. They lack intellectual honesty when they say that.
It's the liberation
Well, we've
narrative.
spoken about the intellectuals in this country and also the intellectuals in the Soviet Union. What about down at the broad mass level? Do the people in general, the working people, the workers in general in the Soviet Union, do they support the system? Do they tolerate it? What is their attitude?
Well, average Soviet citizen, if there is such an animal, of course, does not like the system because it hurts, it kills. He may not understand the reasons. He may not have enough information or educational background to understand. But I doubt very much there are many people who are conscientiously supporting the Soviet system. There are not such people in USSR. Even those who have all the reasons to enjoy socialism, people like myself, who are a member of journalistic elite, they also hate the system for different reasons though, not because they lack material affluence, but because they are unfree to think, they are in constant fear, duplicity, split personality, and this is the greatest tragedy for my nation.
Well, what do you think are the chances of the people actually overcoming their system or replacing it?
There is a great possibility that system will sooner or later be destroyed from within. There is a self-destructive mechanism built into any socialist or communist or fascist system. Because there is lack of feedback, because the system does not rely upon loyalty of population. But until this Soviet junta is being supported by the Western so-called imperialists, that is,
I don't trust
multinational companies, establishments, governments, and let's face it, intellectuals, so-called academia in the United States is famous for supporting the Soviet system.
Okay, let's see what this is like.
As long as the Soviet junta will keep on receiving credits, money, technology, grain deals, and political recognition from all these traitors of democracy or freedom, there is no hope. There is not much hope for changes in my country. And this.
Well, he was wrong. Well, it took what 15 years, but yeah, let's just see what this is about. Okay. So this is the collapse of the Iron Curtain and the Pan-European picnic. Oh wow, this is a full film. And it's SDR. Okay.
تعرفي non è questa canzone. Sicuro non ti conosci.
No.
Chi sta parlando di cosa? Cospiratív nyomozású
This is beautiful though.
hogy megtaláltam a likvidált.
Okay, let's go all the way back. 35 years. 35 years when we were right at the precipice again. You know.
$1989. Holy Toledo. We made it to the last timeline video of the 1980s.
God, this can't be happening to me.
While there were many twists and turns throughout the decade, 1989 stuck the landing. 89 would be remembered for the emergence of democracy and people from all over the world demanding freedom. As communism started to crumble, people started treating it like an unsightly facial mole.
Take this quarter, go downtown, and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face.
Today, we're going to talk about the news, culture, sports, and entertainment, all that was weird in the 80s. This is Timeline. Today, this one is so fine because it is all about 1989. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below what story from 1989 you would like a full video on. Also, stick around until the end when we'll reveal what decade timeline we'll be covering next. Now, are you ready for one last run at the 80s?
Captain, my captain.
This is 1989.
That's your itch.
Pop culture got off to a good start in January. On the 3rd, the Arsenio Hall show debuted, which would give the world some unforgettable moments. From the dressing down of Vanilla Ice.
Those that tried to hold the Ice Man down and kiss my wife, A-double-F. Yep.
To Magic Johnson divulging everything the day after the world found out he was HIV positive.
Having the HIV virus, that I want everybody to practice stay safe.
And of course, Bill Clinton as a red-hot sax machine. Moving on to January 7th, when he...
Fuck, yeah, Clinton fucking did it. Clinton fucking did it as well. You know, you look at the playbook. From here on out, it's gonna be fucking 92 all the way. You know what I mean? Like, and sadly, fucking, you know, Ross Perot didn't have a chance back then. You know, probably wouldn't have a chance in this day and age.
Hirohito, the Emperor of Japan, died. Hirohito was Japan's longest reigning emperor. He held the throne from 1926 to 1989, becoming a notable historical figure when he announced Japan's surrender to the Allied forces on August 12, 1945. On January 20th, George Herbert Walker Bush was sworn in as the 41st President of the United States. We're going to see a lot more HW action in the 90s. 3 days later, on January 23rd, the Spanish surrealist Salvador Dali died at the age of 84. While his death certificate says Dali died of heart failure, the last 5 years of the artist's life was rife with mental illness, depression, drug addiction, and Parkinson's-like symptoms. But Dali left an impression on the art world. In February of 2011, when Dali's Portrait de Paul Eluard was won at a Sotheby's auction for a jaw-dropping $22.4 million, the most expensive of Dali's paintings sold, as well as the most expensive surrealist piece of art ever sold. Back in '89, Tone Loc released Loc After Dark, his debut album. The album reached #1 on the Billboard 200 chart, and by spring break, you couldn't turn on MTV without hearing Funky Cold Medina. Tone's second and final album, Cool Hand Loc, sorta tanked. But by then, his second career as an actor was just beginning. On February 4th, 1994, Tone got his first memorable role, playing the straight guy to Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
This is not the time, Mace. If I didn't want to come down here and see me talking to you or your ass, I'm history.
So there you go, just total parachuting in. What do they call it? Industry plans. Total industry plan. And use Jim Carrey to push this like comedians being intelligent narrative, funny people being intelligent narrative, which is so not the case in so many ways, very much a Mary Sue vibe with those, but yeah, it's all really interesting.
Back to the '89 timeline. On January 24th, Ted Bundy was executed at Florida State Prison as hundreds of people just outside the prison walls chanted, sang, danced, and shot off fireworks. Bundy confessed to 30 homicides, but considering he was giving investigators information on new victims up until his departure, the count is almost certainly higher.
Ted Bundy is dead.
Moving into February, the Ayatollah Khomeini ordered all brave Muslims to kill the Britishian writer Salman Rushdie for besmirching the Prophet Muhammad and other aspects of Islam, and went into hiding for a reported street value of $1 billion.
Let's take it back. Yeah.
Moving into February, the Ayatollah Khomeini ordered all brave Muslims to kill the British Indian writer Salman Rushdie for besmirching the Prophet Muhammad and other aspects of Islam in his 1988 novel, The Satanic Verses.
Islamism.
Yep, Rushdie was issued a fatwa. Rushdie lay low and went into hiding for a handful of years, until August 11, 1993, when Rushdie made his first public appearance.
And that's why Irish people don't fucking like
Apparently, Bono had been calling for Salman from the stage throughout U2's Zoo TV tour. When the tour reached London's Wembley Stadium, Bono called out for Rushdie, and when the writer appeared, the stadium erupted. 1 month later, on February 21st, 54 members of the 14K Triad were arrested across the US, Canada, Singapore, and Hong Kong after 820 pounds of China narcotics were seized with a reported street value of $1 billion. In the mid-80s, the Chinese-based gang, which dates from the 19th century, made up 3% of all US heroin sales. By '89, they controlled between 70 and 80% of the game. On February 23rd, Madonna's video for Like a Prayer debuted on MTV and was met with almost immediate backlash. Because of the video's controversy, Madonna lost her spokesperson gig with Pepsi, although she got to keep her $5 million fee, and Like a Prayer went on to #1 on 22 charts, including the Billboard Hot 100 and the UK singles. Everyone won, except Pepsi. Pepsi, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. We go to March, where on the 15th, the Bush administration announced that there would be an indefinite ban on the import of semi-automatic assault rifles. The ban, announced by William J. Bennett, the Director of National Drug Policy, was put into place after the U.S. Drug Enforcement Unit reported that they weren't able to keep up with the heavy artillery drug traffickers used. On March 24th, the Exxon Valdez drifted into Prince William Sound's Bligh Reef, just off the coast of Alaska, and spilled 10.8 million gallons of crude oil into the ocean. Captain Joseph Hazelwood was reported to have been drinking hard that night and was mysteriously missing when the tanker struck the reef. Exxon blamed Hazelwood, and he countered by saying Exxon was using him as a scapegoat. Hazelwood was cleared of all charges, but despite the evidence that pointed to Exxon's fault, the Exxon Valdez disaster will always be tied to the drunken skipper.
In the cosmic clock, I went from quantum physicist to Air Force test pilot. Here I am, bouncing around in time, putting things right that once went wrong, a sort of time-traveling Lone Ranger with Al as my tonto.
In late March, in the main courtyard of the Louvre,
Just think about that. 89, you know, like... Yeah, the whole concept of time travel really amps up. In, you know, and Back to the Future is all about, you know, fixing the mistakes that you made. And now it's fixing mistakes that society made. That's a fucking slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
the glass pyramid made its official debut to, how do you say, mixed results. Local Parisians hated the design of American architect I.M. Pei, saying it sullied the French Renaissance aesthetic of the Louvre. But just like they got over their hatred for the Eiffel Tower in March of 1889, yeah, they hated that too, Parisians eventually came to accept Pei's pyramids. And if you're a conspiracy enthusiast or a fan of the Da Vinci Code, you're familiar with the story of how the Big Pyramid is built with 666 glass panes. But that is a weird history for another time. Moving into early April, 19-year-old Seattle Mariner rookie Ken Griffey Jr. made his official Major League Baseball debut against the Oakland A's on opening day. The center fielder hit a double in his first Major League at-bat. The kid would go on to homer in his first home game swing at the Kingdome in Seattle 7 days later. We'll see much more of Jr. in the 90s. Speaking of baseball...
Wild thing delivered. Get about the curveball, Ricky. Give him a heater.
One last baseball story. On April 8th, Jim Abbott, a pitcher who only had one hand, made his Major League Baseball debut on April 8th when he faced the Seattle Mariners at Angel Stadium. Abbott got racked in his first game in the Bigs, giving up 6 runs in a 7-0 loss. But Angels fans still gave him a standing ovation as he was pulled from the game in the 5th inning. Flash forward to September 4th, 1993, when he was pitching for the Yankees and threw a no-hitter.
He did it! He did it! No-hitter for Jim Abbott!
Staying with sports, on April 15th, 96 people died and another 766 sustained serious injuries during an FA Cup semifinal between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. With the match already in play, an estimated 5,000 supporters rushed to enter Hillsborough Stadium at once, most filling the sections directly behind the West goal. Then the crush began. Following the disaster, officials lied to the media, stating that the entire incident was due to football hooligans and widespread drunkenness by Liverpool supporters. The Taylor report found that the main cause of the disaster was due to the South Yorkshire Police Department's failure.
So maybe that's what they're gonna plan. A mass rush on a fucking Trump rally or something. So be fucking open, man. Like they'll fucking screw you and fucking build the narrative, you know? Thank God we have Trump. Thank God. You know, I mean, it's like, niggas, don't you realize that we are fucking anointed ones? You can't fuck with God's children without consequence. We know your plays, we know history, we can see the fucking on and on and on. You know, just, again, it's that double standard thing. They think just because they're so fucking stupid, everyone else must be stupid. You know? It's unconscionable. You know, this whole, like, equity, equality, blah, blah, blah. It's for fucking lazy people. It's for fucking people who want a free ride. You know, you can see that. Nobody, you know... No one wants to explicitly say that, but it's for fucking lazy people who just want to do the minimum amount and then get fucking fed and watered and fucking bedded, you know? Whereas fucking hardworking, fucking honest people get demonized when we see bad things happen in the world. You know? Destroy people. Take away their homes. Take away their careers. You know, how fucking dare they? You know, assassinate a whole generation of cultural figures. I don't know.
Failure to control the crowd. 4 days later, on the 19th, Tricia Miley was found late at night in critical condition after being assaulted and left for dead in Central Park. Local detectives illegally interrogated dozens of suspects and then chose 5. Kevin Richardson, Anton McCrae, Raymond Santana, Corey Wise, and Yusef Salam, who came to be known as the Central Park 5. Real estate.
Okay, here's what Donald Trump said.
Developer Donald J. Trump took out full-page ads in New York City asking for the death penalty.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get...
You know, that's what happens when you go, fuck, I got played. You know, they held the narrative and I fucking played into it. You know, and that's why they hate fucking Trump so bad. You know, and that's another thing. They whipped up so much fucking thing about George Floyd, a black man, and yet now they don't give a fuck about black men. You know, that's fucking mental.
Get something done.
Despite a lack of physical evidence, the members of the Central Park 5 received 5 to 15 years in prison. Flash forward when Matthias Reyes confessed to the Central Park attack. And then flash forward again to 2014, when the Central Park 5 won a $41 million settlement after suing the city of New York for malicious prosecution, racial discrimination, and emotional distress.
Now, it feels great to have a voice. Because 89, we didn't have one.
We go to the Caribbean Sea, where a 16-inch gun turret
completely confected, completely used for clickbait. Again, division. Oh, Obama, blah blah blah. Oh, blah blah. Oblama. Oblama. Obama, Oblama. Fuck y'all, niggas.
Of the United States Navy battleship USS Iowa exploded while on maneuvers, killing 47 American sailors. An initial investigation by the U.S. Navy was leaked and reported that crew member Clayton Hartley deliberately caused the explosion after his sexual relationship with fellow crew member Kendall Truitt suddenly ended. However, the families of the victims and members of Congress questioned the findings of the Navy. A second investigation by the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House Armed Services Committees both found that an accidental overram of the powder bags in the turret most likely was the cause of the explosion. 5 days later, on April 24th, Tom Petty released Full Moon Fever, his first solo album since he formed the Heartbreakers in 1976. It wasn't completely a solo LP, though. Petty got contributions from the Heartbreakers' Mike Campbell, as well as ELO's Jeff Lynne, Beatles' George Harrison, as well as Roy Orbison. Petty's debut eventually went 5 times platinum, thanks to the 5 incredibly successful singles, I Won't Back Down, Running Down a Dream, and of course, Free Falling, which he performed at the MTV Music Video Awards in 1989 with Axl Rose. In late April, Sergio Leone, the Italian film director who was credited as the creator of the spaghetti western, died from a heart attack at the age of 60. Leone's Dollars trilogy, featuring Clint Eastwood in A Fistful of Dollars, for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, are enough to designate him as one of the greatest and most influential directors in the history of cinema. Entering May, Michael Jordan made Shot, which happened during Game 5 of the Eastern Conference First Round Series at Ridgefield Coliseum in Ohio. Down by 1 point with 3 seconds left on the clock, Jordan got the ball and...
Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up and scores at the buzzer! Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago!
An iconic NBA moment. How did MJ do it?
Money's gotta be the shoes!
In what will become a theme for the next few years, Dan Quayle made one of his earliest gaffes as the Vice President of the United States when he gave a speech at a United Negro College Fund conference, and these words stumbled out of his mouth.
You take the UNCF motto that what a waste it is to lose one's mind or not to have a mind is being very wasteful.
Quayle was referring to the United Negro College Fund's tagline,
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Hey, that was Marlon Wayans. Hang tight, you'll see a lot more of Quayle saying silly stuff soon.
Right boot. Sorry, we're closed. Well, what are all these people doing here? Drinking and having a good time. Well, that's why we're here. You're too stupid to have a good time.
It would be on May 22nd when O.J. Simpson pleaded no contest and submitted the plea to 1 count of spousal battery, the charges that he beat his wife Nicole Brown at the Brentwood home. The 90s and O.J., we will definitely see you again.
Wow. Wow.
On June 4th, Poland held its first party-free election for communist rule in over 40 years, allowing the Solidarity Trade Union to defeat the Communist Party at the polls. The result of this election began the collapse of communism and the early stages of political change not only in Poland, but across Central and Eastern Europe. The following day, on June 5th, this unidentified Chinese man stood in front of a convoy of Type 59 tanks attempting to leave Tiananmen Square, the day after the Chinese military had suppressed the area's protests by force. To this day, little is known of Tank Man. Bruce?
Again, maybe that's what they're planning, another fucking Tiananmen Square type thing. You know, although this time they won't give them, like, I mean, look, it may have been, you know, Chinese communist propaganda, but my Chinese friend I live with told me that those people, those protesters were given like so many warnings just to fucking go home now, it's over, just fucking go home, and they didn't listen. You know, and you're seeing that now in America. Obviously, they're not fucking killing them, but you know what I mean. Like, imagine if they tried to pull some Kent State shit on protesters now. It wouldn't fucking happen. It wouldn't happen. They'd love to, but well, maybe it would. I don't know. I mean, when the fuck? Yeah, I don't know, man.
The former deputy special assistant to President Nixon, alleged that the unidentified man was executed 14 days after the incident, while others claimed he was killed by firing squad several months later in the year. In mid-June, actor and socialite Zsa Zsa Gabor took her $215,000 Rolls Royce out for a spin and ended up getting pulled over by a Beverly Hills motorcycle cop for expired car registration tags. While Officer Paul Kramer was looking for additional violations, Gabor drove off. When Kramer chased her down and pulled her over for the second time, Gabor Zsa Zsa'd the officer's face, stating she was acting in self-defense after he yanked her out of her car. Ultimately, Zsa Zsa was ordered to serve 3 days in jail. She had to pay every fine and retribution totaling $12,937, and she had to perform 120 hours of community service.
They can take away my husband, they can take away my driver's license, but darling, don't touch my wheel. Don't touch my wheel.
Wow.
3 days later, on June 21st, in a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the landmark decision stating that burning the American flag as a political protest was protected by the First Amendment. The ruling came after the Texas versus Johnson Supreme Court case, where
I wonder
Joe
why.
Johnson,
I
then a
fucking
member
wonder
of the
why.
Revolutionary
I wonder
Communist
why.
Youth Brigade, set an American flag on fire at a political demonstration during the 1984 Republican National Convention. The same vote provided by Judge Antonin Scalia. Although Scalia voted in favor of Johnson's free speech, the judge was often heard grumbling about the case. More than once, Scalia mentioned that if he were king, he'd imprison anyone who desecrated the American flag, and called Johnson a bearded weirdo.
Don't kill me, man! Don't kill me!
Batman.
I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me. I'm Batman.
In a second landmark court case in less than a week, the United States Supreme Court ruled on June 26 that, based on the Stanford versus Kentucky case, upheld the possibility of the death penalty for teens who were at least 16 years old at the time of their crime. Since the Supreme Court's 1989 decision, 19 teenagers have been executed.
Of course, so that's why they're happy to like mutilate underage children, because you know there's nothing to do with consent and you know if they're young enough for us to execute them, then they're young enough to get their tits chopped off, right?
The majority of those have been 17, most are from the South, most die by lethal injection, and all are male.
See, to me, that button's in the worst possible spot. The second button literally makes or breaks the shirt. Look at it. It's too high. It's in no man's land. You look like you live with your mother.
July 10th, Mel Blanc, the man of 1,000 voices, died at 81. According to Blanc, he began smoking at 9 years old, continuing his pack-a-day habit until he was diagnosed with emphysema at 77. Mel was voice of so many iconic cartoon characters, from Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, to Porky Pig, Barney Rubble, and Speedy Gonzales. We go to the sky, where Captain Al Haynes, pilot of United Airlines Flight 232, was cruising at an altitude of 37.
And that's why they're suppressing the vaping. It's because like they don't want us to have nicotine without it fucking killing us. You know, they don't want to take away the dangerous side effects of consuming nicotine. You know, they want, you know, it's fucking some fucking deep state shit, yeah?
7,000 feet over Iowa, when the tail-mounted engine on his DC-10 disintegrated, forcing a crash landing in Sioux City. With very limited ability to control the plane, Haynes landed the large 3-engine airliner, carrying 292 passengers and crew. While 111 people on board perished in the disaster, Captain Haynes and his crew were heralded as heroes. But to Haynes, it was just another day on the job.
There is no hero. They're just a group of 4 people doing their job.
At the end of July, Game Boy would make its American debut and take handheld gaming to an entirely different level. But it wasn't always like that. The unit wasn't very popular in its early stages. Some Nintendo developers even called it the Dame game, with the word dame being Japanese for hopeless or lame. But Americans loved their Game Boys. They bought 40,000 units on the first day alone. With the Cold War coming to a close, the world's biggest heavy metal artists decided to band together to perform at the Moscow Music Peace Festival, which took place over the weekend beginning on August 12th. Some of the era's best hair bands performed that weekend, promoting world peace and established international cooperation in fighting the drug war in Russia. Ironic, considering the bill featured Skid Row, Motley Crue, Ozzy, and the Scorpions, bands who never really listened when asked to just say no. On August 20th, Lyle and Eric Menendez murdered their parents in cold blood at the family's Beverly Hills mansion. After spending an estimated $700,000 of the deceased father's fortune on Porsches, Rolexes, and restaurants, one of them bought a restaurant, detectives arrested the brothers off of a tip from Lyle's psychologist's mistress. Fast forward to July 2nd, 1996, when the brothers Menendez were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after a lengthy trial televised on court TV.
And they'll probably get a pardon.
Kelly Kapowski? Hey, you don't want anything to do with her. But why not? She has leprosy.
On August 24th, Pete Rose accepted a lifetime ban.
So lionizing and celebrating lions, it's the American way, is it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between being a spy. Well, maybe that's the whole point. Spies, man. You know, spies lies, right? spies lie, and continuing a culture of spying is continuing a culture of lying, and then it gets so entrenched that lies can be the official truth, you know?
And from Major League Baseball, handed down by the new commissioner of baseball, A. Bartlett Giamatti. The Cincinnati Reds manager was charged with betting on Major League Baseball games, which started in 1985, and at least 52 of his own team's games in 1987, dropping up to $10,000 a day on his wagers. Giamatti's ban rendered all of Charlie Hustle's on-field accomplishments as null and void. More on Commissioner Giamatti in a minute. Leona Helmsley, the billionaire hotelier and shady real estate investor, was convicted of federal income tax evasion on August 30th. She was being sued by a group of contractors for refusing to pay services rendered to her 21-room mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her former housekeeper testified that she once heard Helmsley scream, "We don't pay taxes, only the little people pay taxes." Also known as the Queen of Mean, Helmsley got off lightly. Helmsley only served 19 months of a 16-year prison sentence and an additional 2 under house arrest. 7 days after he banned Pete Rose from Major League Baseball, Commissioner A. Bartlett Giamatti died of a heart attack at his summer home in Martha's Vineyard. He was 51. Giamatti had only been the MLB's commissioner for 5 months, but he would appear again in a most unlikely place. Flash forward to October 22nd, 2004, when the film Sideways debuted. Bartlett's real son, Paul, playing Miles, used a real photograph of father and son Giamatti, which you can see here on his mother's dresser. Sideways. That was a pretty good movie. Back to 1989, where on September 6th, Madonna performed Express Yourself at the MTV Video Music Awards. Madonna's choreography for Express Yourself is absolutely charming compared to what pop stars do on stage today to get noticed. But in 1989, a woman grabbing herself, dry humping the microphone stand, and wearing a black lace bustier over men's baggy trousers was all it took to throw conservative groups like the PMRC and Parents Television Council into a tailspin.
Kathy learned anything from the
American
earlier
Gladiator.
two contenders' experiences.
They're planning to bring that back on. Wow.
Might feel a little more comfortable on ice skates.
On September 10th, Barry Sanders played his first NFL game as a Detroit Lion, rushing for a respectable 71 yards and a touchdown against the Phoenix Cardinals. The former Heisman Trophy winner made it to the Pro Bowl every season he played. He rushed for 15,269 yards, becoming one of the greatest running backs ever. And he made impossible moves like this look routine.
Sanders. With the central Barry Sanders inside the 20, inside the 10. Highlights those.
Quit eyeballing your dog, because on September 18th, California Governor George Deukmejian signed a bill making it illegal in the Golden State to eat household pets, specifically, but not limited to, dogs and cats. Makes sense, but man, slow roasted Charlie?
Wow.
That's a good dog.
All right. You're okay. All right. To the boy.
Why would I be the baby boy?
At the beginning of October, Denmark became the first country in the world to legally recognize same-sex marriages in the form of registered partnerships. Not bad, considering the country viewed homosexuality as an illness up to 1981. Another first took place on October 3rd when Art Shell became the first black man to be hired as an NFL head coach. Shell, a former offensive tackle with the Raiders from 1968 to 1982, returned to the team as the head coach until the 1994 season, only to return in 2006. On October 9th, TASS, the Soviet Union's central news agency, confirmed that a UFO had landed in a park in the city of Voronezh, approximately 300 miles southeast of Moscow. The TASS report noted the spacecraft contained 3 creatures similar to humans and a small robot, which all exited the UFO and explored the grounds. The report also noted their height, between 9 and 12 feet tall, and the size of their heads, very small, and their eyes, 3 of them. The report failed to report the date of the Voronezh alien visit, but 40 or so Soviet witnesses, adults and children, were consumed with fear that lasted for several days. In mid-October, Wayne
Wow.
Gretzky, the great one,
Wow.
has 40 house scoring record of 1,850 goals in a game against the team that traded him, the Edmonton Oilers at Edmonton. Gretzky's 1,000 and the fact that his former hometown fans got to be there for it was a nice touch by the hockey gods. Staying with sports, we go to Game 3 of the Bay Bridge World Series between the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants, which was interrupted by a 6.9 earthquake.
Second base, so the Oakland A's take.
The quake killed 67 people and caused more than $5 billion in damages. But experts stated that potentially thousands of lives were saved because most Bay Area residents were inside, getting ready to watch the game. We flash forward to October 27th, when play resumed when the Athletics beat the Giants 13-7, eventually sweeping San Francisco in 4 games the following day on October 28th. Later in the month, as part of their plant's opening celebration in Orrville, Ohio, Smith Dairy made and served the world's largest milkshake on record. The 1,575.2 gallon shake earned Smith Dairy a spot in that year's edition of Guinness Book of World Records. Heading into November, on the 9th, the Berlin Wall came down. The Berlin Wall had divided East and West Berlin since 1961. The event marked the fall of the Iron Curtain and hinted at the eventual fall of communism in Eastern and Central Europe. In related news, an eventual end of the dying Cold War was declared at the Malta Summit 3 weeks later. But of course, one of the most memorable moments of the wall's fall, and to be honest, all of the 80s, was David Hasselhoff rocking the hell out of the single Looking for Freedom in a piano scarf and electric black leather jacket.
I've been looking for freedom.
The world was going through some massive changes in November. On the 17th, the Velvet Revolution began in Czechoslovakia as thousands of student protesters filled the streets of Prague, peacefully demanding freedom from the country's communist government. In the following days, these students were joined by other Czech citizens, and 3 days later, on November 20th, over 500,000 Czechs and Slovaks filled Prague's streets and took over Wenceslas Square, demanding an end to communism. The peaceful protests, which lasted until December 29th, worked. Czechoslovakia's communists were forced out of power, and during the final days of 1989, the Czechs elected Václav Havel, their first president since 1948. Staying with the then communist nations, on November 24th, Romanian leader Nicolae Ceausescu was unanimously re-elected Communist Party chief. It didn't last for long, because a month later to Christmas, December 25th, when Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife Elena were charged with genocide during the revolution in Timișoara. Ceausescu was found guilty, and he and his wife were swiftly escorted to an outdoor wall. Before news crews or reporters could record the execution, the firing squad fired, thus officially ending Romania's reign of communism. That was fast.
You girls just stay here and relax.
Remember, Dad, the handle is a big different points to the North Star.
That's nice, Lisa, but we're not in astronomy class. We're in the wood.
We said there would be more quail. On December 19th, the vice president mailed out a batch of 30,000 Christmas cards, and in true Dan Quayle fashion, the holiday greeting inside the card included a fairly glaring typo. Quayle wrote, "May our nation continue to be the beacon of hope in the world." But somewhere between his mouth and the printer's, beacon was spelled with a K, B-E-A-K-O-N. Quayle shifted blame onto his wife, Marilyn. What a guy, who in turn blamed Denise Balzano, Mrs. Quayle's chief of staff. The following day, on the 20th, the United States invasion of Panama. During the month-long invasion, the Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega fled to a Catholic sovereign entity, staying there for 10 days, while American soldiers blared tunes from AC/DC, the club.
Oh, of course they were allies. How good is allyship? We don't need you anymore. Notice that? No more fucking I's and A's in the LGBTQ anymore, is there? No, we don't need allies anymore. We don't need the Jews. We don't need the progressives. Our totality is enough. We don't need the fucking hermaphrodites. Makes you realize how fucking arbitrary it was all along, yeah?
Clash, and Guns N' Roses, around the clock. And speaking of music, on December 23rd, 17-year-old Ice Cube left NWA, the band he co-founded with Eazy-E and Dr. Dre after getting iced out by Jerry Heller, the rap group's manager, over royalties. But Cube had a legitimate reason for breaking away and going solo. He wrote the majority of NWA's debut, Straight Outta Compton, and all of Eazy's Easy Does It for combined sales of over 5 million albums. Ice Cube earned a total of $32,000 for all of those sales. Flash forward to May 16, 1990, when Ice Cube released America's Most Wanted. Most assumed Cube's debut would bomb, but it was universally praised by critics. It immediately went platinum, and it set up a rap rivalry between NWA and Cube, which produced some of the greatest rap beat tracks in the history of hip-hop. And with that, Ice Cube would be the last story of the 80s. The 80s. It was a beautiful time, and we hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. Be sure to watch or re-watch all of our Timeline 80s videos from 1980 through 1989. But we know why you're still here. What decade will Timeline do next? The 90s? 70s?
Yeah, wow, okay. So you realize, like, it's like all these different branches of Marxism, of communism, you know, running through the American narrative. You know, the grand narrative versus reality, you know, the grand design, you know. So it starts with culture. Well, obviously, it's always been culture. Always been sport, always been music, always been television, and always been movies. You know, that's how you control. You know, and I mean, like, the Roman Empire was just fucking the same as us, just writ large. You know, we don't want to celebrate Roman leaders. You know what I mean? Like, they're the yuckiest fucking. It's like, how we're meant to learn from these dudes, not fucking repeat them. See, that's the thing. It's like, maybe, you know, there should be like a license against, you know, delving into history without, like, you know, an ethical mindset. And just going, oh shit, well that doesn't help us, so that didn't happen. And that one happened this way because that's better for us. And that person, nah, he's not in that photo anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing a systematic retelling of history. You know, history is a lie we continue to tell ourselves and agree upon. You know? And it's like, yeah, it's like the 6 million Holocaust narrative. You know, it doesn't, like, don't people realize the correlation? Like, how can you say, you know, and they're turning it from one type of yeah, I mean, fucking skinheads, Nazis, you know, nothing to do with Hitler. But just, you know what I mean? Like, that's interesting, isn't it? It's like they take their enemies, you know, perception and then skew it into like an actually evil movement, fucking neo-Nazis. I mean, the fact that it's neo-Nazi, not Nazis. You know what I mean? Like National Socialists. I thought you liked socialists. What, not national ones? Not, you know, you're not allowed to have any national pride. It's not about race, it's about nationality. You know? Nations. Nations should be allowed to fucking do whatever the hell they want. You know, United Nations is a fucking axis of evil. It is evil. I don't fucking know. Anyway, I'm gonna pop on the Matrix and go. Oh, gotta bounce. Okay. Thanks, guys. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Bye.